Come on in and welcome to my kitchen. In our last video, we did learn how to make Nigerian buns. If you're yet to watch that video, I'll leave the link for you in the description section so you can go ahead and watch that video and learn one or two things. So today's video was requested by one of you guys. I read through the comments and she had mentioned that she wanted to learn how to make donuts. To be honest, I had not made this donuts before in my past, but I decided that was going to be a challenge that I was going to take on. And if you've ever made it to the end of my videos, you see that my outro is always let's learn and cook together. So I decided to go back to the drawing board and find out so many things that I could know about donuts, and that's what I'm going to be sharing with you guys today. So there are two forms of donuts. You have the cake donut and then you have the raised donut. In this particular recipe video, I'll be showing you how to make the raised donut. And the main difference between the two of them is that for the cake donuts, you use baking powder, and for the raised donuts, you use your yeast. So I like to think of them as the cake donut is your Nigerian buns, and then your raised donut is your puff puff. With a little difference. For instance, the raised donut is not greasy and oily as you have a typical Nigerian puff puff, and for the cake donut, it's not as crunchy on the outside. However, the interior is as dense as the Nigerian buns. So the first time I made it, I got this. Don't get it twisted, it wasn't bad with the taste and the texture, but I was looking for something different. I wanted my donuts to be puffy. I wanted to have that proof line around, and so with fewer alteration from here and there, I got this, and ever since I've been making it like that. So in this video, I'll be sharing with you the tips and tricks on how to go about making your donuts from this to this, and you achieving this every time you make it in your kitchen. So without not speaking too much, which I've been doing since, let's head onto the work table and start cooking. Kindly see the description section for full ingredient list and highly recommended kitchen tools that will help you nail this recipe every time. I always start off by proofing my yeast to ensure it is still alive. It's more of an habit whether I'm using instant or active dry yeast. Go ahead and melt your fat, butter in my case, to further help achieve a moist dough. Your proofed yeast should look like this. Grate your nutmeg into your bread flour. Add salt, sugar, and give it a quick stir. Next, into your mixing bowl, pour your milk, melted butter, egg, and pure vanilla extract. With your hand mixer on low and with its beater, mix this for a few seconds. Add in your yeast and repeat for a few seconds as well. You can ditch your mixer here and use a wooden spoon for this. Next thing is to add flour bit by bit. This will help reduce your flour mix from spreading all over your table or body. Mix this till it gets wet and continue with the rest of the flour. I strongly recommend using bread flour because it has a very high protein content, and when kneaded vigorously, a strong elastic network of gluten strands will be formed. Once mixed, this wet, sticky, soft dough will form. Next stage is for us to knead this to form a smooth, elastic, and extensible dough. Using your dough hook and on high speed, start working the dough. At first, the dough will be very sticky to the bottom of the bowl, but with time, it will start lifting from the bowl and sticking more onto the dough hook. And as you go on, it will start rolling up to the top of the hook, like so. Stop at this stage and scrape down the dough. If you don't, it will go up further and get your hook stuck to the hand mixers. We do not want that. At this stage, even the look of the dough will be different from what you started with. Continue kneading, keeping your eye on the hook, and scrape down as before. Do this like 2 to 3 more times. This is one tell sign that your dough is becoming elastic and extensible, like so. With your hand or your dough scraper, scrape down the dough. Your dough should still be tacky, that is, a little sticky but easily releases without leaving much, if at all, any dough on your hand. Remember, we still want a wet dough. If completely non-sticky, that could mean that your dough is too dry, and we don't want that either. You can go ahead and dump it into a bowl that is oiled. However, Violet loves to feel and smoothen her dough with her hand. It just makes me feel like I'm on the right track. Because this is a smaller dough size, I just slap, stretch, and fold the dough into a ball in the palm of my hand. But if you're working with a larger size, use a table as shown. This extra step, aside from the feel-good feeling, further gently knead and form gluten strand and entraps air that will help your donut rise and be more pillowy and fluffy. Again, your final dough when you carry out what is called a window pan test should be elastic and extensible. This test is when you take some of the dough and gently stretch it. Traditionally, you should be able to see light bulb through it. But ensure that you do not stretch it vigorously or past its elastic limit, because it will break. Let's go on. Add a little bit of oil into a bowl and then coat the bowl and the dough thoroughly with it. This prevents dough sticking to bowl and also keep the dough moist on the outside, preventing a dry skin formation. Cover it up with a plastic wrap and or with foil. Then place in a warm place to proof. To aid your proofing, I placed a bowl of boiling water in there as well to create that steamy, humid, warm environment. While that is doing its thing, go ahead and make your parchment paper. This plays a vital role, especially for a beginner like us. We are going to place our cut donuts on this before our second rise. It will help us avoid malhandling the beautifully shaped donuts we already created when we want to fry them after the second rise. I strongly recommend that you do this. To help you with the coil, run your pressing iron over the parchment paper to strengthen them. 1 hour later, my dough is doubled and ready. But hey friend, I want you to pay very close attention here. With my first try that resulted to this is what I did. Lightly floured my work surface, picked up my risen dough, gently placed them on the table, and started rolling out. However, to get this, the following steps is what you need to do. Before I go on, let me show you a well-risen dough apart from the at least doubled size. When you press lightly, it will leave an indentation like so. So let's continue. Once you have lightly floured your surface to prevent dough from sticking, make a fist, then gently but firmly punch down the middle. Pull the surrounding ends and fold into the middle as shown. This process deflates the dough. Pick it up and place it on your work surface. Then give it a light, gentle knead about 3 to 4 times as shown.
This act helps to redistribute the yeast, giving it new starches and sugars to eat during the second rise, thus improving the flavor and rise of your donut. Redistributing the yeast was missing with my first try, and what I observed was a significant difference in the donut rise and final product interior or grain. Continue with rolling out your dough to about half an inch thick as shown.
Once satisfied, dip your donut cutter into flour before each cut to prevent stickiness. You can use a circular cookie cutter, but this cutter is relatively inexpensive and it is way faster to get the job done. Pick up your leftover and gently fold it into a ball. Then place the shaped donuts on the cut parchment paper. I always tell myself at this stage, remember, donut is like a lady. You need to be gentle with it. Repeat the rolling out process as shown. If you don't want the classic ring shape, you can just make the cut with a circular cookie cutter as shown. This is my finished shaped donut ready to be proofed. I repeated placing the bowl of boiling water into the oven to assist proofing. Your proofed donut should be puffy to feel and doubled looking. Let's compare this rise to that one that was not lightly kneaded after first rise. Can you see the difference? Carefully drop the donut into the oil as shown. You don't want to overcrowd it so as to keep the temperature of the oil consistent. If the heat drops too much, the donut will stay in the oil for a longer time, predisposing it to soaking up oil, and we don't want that either. Because it is very light and fluffy, it will float on top of your oil like so. Once the bottom part is golden, flip it over. With the right temperature, this should take less than a minute for each side. Take it out of the oil and set on your wire rack as shown. Ensure that before you put in the next batch, you look at the thermometer to ensure your oil is at the right temperature. If not, let the oil get back to the right temperature. Remember, higher temperature, less time for frying of donuts. You should line your wire rack with paper towel, though, to help blot out the oil.
Go ahead and fry those small balls. This one should take about 1 minute to fry them in total. Aren't these so appealing to the sight? You should be proud of yourself here. Into 200 gram powdered sugar, add drop of vanilla extract, a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon powder, which is totally optional, and pour in some hot boiling water. Remember to go little by little till you get the consistency you want. It should be thin and not thick like frosting. Then we're ready to dip in your donut into it like shown. Again, line your wire rack to catch the drip while it cools off and sets. I'll go ahead and show you the difference between the first try and subsequent tries. I have the proof line versus the non-proof line exterior. The light fluffy cake-like grain versus the light fluffy pillowy grained interior. I really do hope you find all this information shared useful. As always, leave me your feedbacks, comments, and/or questions in the comment section. Until next time when I see you again, let's learn and cook together. Bye-bye.